like the Fuel versus Hunters match, like the third map. And even though Fuel did win this match 3-1, this was the map they dropped, and they dropped it in a spectacular fashion. And they made a really basic mistake. And today we're gonna go over like what that basic mistake is. So before we like start with this, let's take a look at the comps. They're not gonna run Tracer Genji. Okay, let me just skip 10 seconds. Here it is. So like, let's take a look at the comps first before we delve into map control. So like, Fuel, they're running the like a dive comp with like a Tracer Sombra, which means they want to go for hard dives, and then they have like on a break backline, which is standard with Winston. But meanwhile, Hunters are running the double shield like with a Hanzo and pocketed and a Mercy to like pocket the Hanzo, and like the Mei's gonna like allow them to separate the back line from the front line. Like they can look for Mei wall, or like they can just look to like use the Mei to help them peel off like the engage. So and they have the BAP as well. But so anyways, let's talk about like what these two comps want to do as well as map control. So what is map control? Well, like simply put, map control is like the ability to like influence areas of the map. And by influence I mean like you can, for example, Hanzo peeking in an angle is an example of map control, like in the case of Hunters. A Tracer like on a flank is an example of map control, because like if anyone wants to use that flank, then they're gonna have to go against a Tracer, and that's not good unless they have support. They're not gonna win the 1v1 without support. Another example of like map control might be, for example, a Monkey like behind the enemy who can just drop on the backline at a moment's notice. That's another example of map control. So like map control is just being able to influence areas of the map, and as well as like being able to use those areas of the map for like your own benefit. And like Overwatch, like at its core is like a battle for map control, and like the ability to use that map control to achieve objectives, such as taking the objective but also getting picks or achieving your win condition, which I will talk about shortly. So what do these comps want to do? So in terms of like map control, so let's talk about the dive comp. And what the dive comp wants to do is like they want to corral the enemy. Like they want to take the flanks and angles. They want to use like their Tracer, maybe their Sombra. They want to use their Diva to help, but they just want to like kind of split apart. They want to have their Winston on another angle ideally. They just want to like split apart and like take map control, like take the flanks and angles so that the enemy team can't use them. And then the thing is that like it achieves two things. Like first, like when you have like the flanks and angles, like it's easier to dive. And why? Because you don't have to, like, for example, as Tracer, you don't have to like use 3 blinks just to get to the back line. As Winston, you don't have to commit your leap to get into the back line. And as Sombra, like obviously you want to be behind them, you don't want to be like in front of them. So like having like control of the flanks and like getting behind the enemy makes it easier for like you to actually execute that dive. And the other thing is that like you also deny the enemy the ability to use the flanks and angles, like, which brings us to like Chengdu's comp. But before we talk about it, like the reason why like you want like the enemy to be clumped together is because like it makes it easier. Actually, makes it easier for the dive, and like contrary to popular belief. And why? Because when the enemy is like together, and like suddenly your Winston gets like 6-player cleave, your Ball gets like a 6-player pile drive, your Ana can get a 6-player nade, and you have a lot of target focus opportunities. But more importantly, it's hard to punish you when like the enemies like grouped up together, because like let's say instead of the enemy being grouped up together, let's say like you're playing against Orisa and you have Sigma here and then you have a Hanzo here. If you just like try to like quote unquote like dive, like just hard engage on the Orisa, like for example as Winston, you decide like just jump the Orisa, and like obviously your backlines will want to move up to support. But like here's the problem: they're gonna have to move, like they're immobile, right? But they're gonna have to move up through like through like the enemy's angles. Like they're gonna have to move up against a pocketed Hanzo. They're gonna have to move up against a Sigma, and it's just gonna be like so hard for the backline to actually contribute. And more importantly, like the angles of like the double shield team will make it easier for them to punish it. And why? Like let's say your Winston is in, and like instead of like clearing the angles first, like you allow them to take those angles. And what happens is that like they can just like poke at your Winston more easily. Your D.Va can only DM one angle. Yours and like fewer players are under pressure, so like they can take their time to like line up the shot, or like they can even go for your backline. They don't have to go for like the Winston. They can just go for your backline who's trying to like contribute to like the engage. So like obviously like letting the enemy have map control like even in a dive comp is bad, because like not only do you want the map control, but you also want to deny the enemy the use of like the flanks and angles, because obviously like a spam comp they want angles, so to get like options to like peek and like get picks and stuff. And finally, like if you don't like clear the enemy's map control, if the enemy's doing a good job of taking map control, then like it's gonna make it hard for you to get behind the enemy. Like how are you gonna like you're gonna have to like use your leap early just to get into the enemy backline. And like if you try to like jump onto high ground to behind, then like the enemy's gonna have better angles to like try to poke you out. And if you take 300 or 400 damage before the fight, then you're basically useless. And like if you try to like flank, then like if the enemy's doing a good job taking the map control, wrong color. If the enemy's doing a good job controlling the flanks and angles, then like it's gonna make it hard to like get behind the enemy and like try to and like get a good like dive going. So how do like Chengdu want to like deal with this? So they don't want to stack Orisa and Sigma together. This is like what you want to avoid until like they actually threaten your like until they're actually within like brawling range, like when the monkey's close to like whenever your monkey's like close to like your team, in which case like you're more worried about being separated, because dive is good at punishing players who are split apart from their team, as well as punishing players who are grouped up together. So like what do Chengdu want to do is like they want to like split apart early fight, like before like they get into melee range. They want to like split apart. They want to like wrong size. They want to like take control of like all the space, all the angles that lead to the point. And like they don't have a tracer, which makes it hard for them to like control like maybe like this mega room, or like it makes it hard to control like this mega room as well. But like as long as they control like a lot of the map, it's gonna make it really hard for Fuel to like send Fearless, like put Fearless like on high ground. It's gonna make it harder for Sparkle and Doha to, not impossible, but harder to like for them to like just flank freely and get behind them. But what Fuel want to do is that like they have like a Brig, and Brig's really good at like helping like Sparkle like flank, helping not Fearless but like healing Doha if necessary, like in the backline, who's like maybe he's like trying to like spam from like afar, like the high ground here. Like Brig has really good healing range. That's why she's so like valuable in like a dive comp. It's because like she can like heal even if like her teammates are like on like really deep flanks. Like she can still heal them as long as they're within like a 30-meter range, which is actually pretty long. Like Ana can do that, but like Ana isn't really gonna like easily hit like a Tracer or like even a Sombra, who like preferably doesn't want to just stand still for like Ana. And like they have Hanbin, they have a D.Va which like can like contest flanks and angles, and like try to like force like Hunters as like DPS back to their team, force Sigma back to their team if there's like enough pressure. And they also have Fearless, who can like also contest angles by himself, but he's gonna be looking more to like get an angle of his own, and then like try to like get a good engage on the enemy backline. So and in this match, both teams like they fuck up map control, but feel like they fuck it up even harder. And, you know, in Overwatch, like, it's not always the team that does the best. It's the team that fucks up the least that can also win. So right here, like, Hunters are setting up in the high ground. The problem is that, like, even though the high ground, like, is like good map control, like, from the high ground, you get control of, like, basically here, and, like, you know, here. Like, the problem is that it doesn't overlook the point, and in Overwatch, like, an objective-based game, controlling, like, the objective is the most important priority. So they're just gonna, like, position here to, like, get some initial poke on the enemy, which is good because they, here's the thing with, like, you know, the spam versus, like, dive matchup. Like, who do they really want to, like, you know, focus on poking? Like, normally, like, you know, obviously, like, leave Nisha with Nisha's pocket. He wants to get picks, and getting picks is, like, a most reliable way to end the fight. But to get picks, you need time, and, like, against mobile heroes, like, they're gonna close the distance quickly. That's the advantage of, like, you know, having a Winston over a Ryan, for example. It makes him, he can really easily close the distance. Same with Tracer, who doesn't even have to, like, go into, like, the spam sight lines. Like, the Tracer can just, you know, flank and, like, you know, get behind them really pretty easily if, like, they, and, like, you know, Hunters would have to be actively trying to chase the Tracer to, like, poke her out. So, but in order for, like, Hunters, like, succeed, they need time for their comp to, like, actually get a poke advantage, because, like, in, like, a prolonged fight, their, like, Hunters' comp will get the advantage, like, especially a prolonged fight at long ranges. This comp wants long sight lines, but this comp wants to close the distance. Like, look at how brawly this is. Like, they have Tracer, Sombra, Winston, Diva, and they have Brig as well. So, like, what Hunters want to do is that they want to, like, divide their poke in between, like, going for picks on the backline, and they want to be, like, putting poke on the enemy tanks as well. For example, Fearless and Hanbin. And, the players who want to be poking tanks mainly are, like, the Orisa and to a lesser extent the Sigma. The Sigma wants to be, like, Sigma's splash damage, which means, like, he'll get probably more value trying to poke out, like, squishies who are grouped up together, but like, still, like, if Sigma does do a lot of direct damage if you land his shots correctly. So, like, the tanks are mainly gonna be, like, trying to poke out Fearless and Hanbin, but that doesn't mean that, like, you know, Leave is gonna go for, like, picks on the back line mainly. Maybe he's gonna look for an angle, but, like, that's not always possible. So, and, like, in any case, like, Hanzo does have Storm Arrows, which is a really good burst of damage and can easily bring Fearless or Hanbin down to, like, half HP or even less. So Leave is gonna, like, look to, like, go for picks with the Mercy Pocket on the back line, or even, like, Sparkle Doha. But, like, if like, you know, Fearless and Hanbin are standing in the sight lines open, then Leave should probably just focus, like, Fearless and Hanbin. Like, even though that might not get a kill, it buys time for, like, the poke, for, like, you know, the poke tanks of, like, Gaga and like, Elsa to just, like, spam them out. And, like, Gaga and Elsa don't even have to, like, poke at, like, you know, Fearless and Hanbin. They could put poke pressure on, like, Jexi and Fielder to force them to use cooldowns, or put some poke pressure on, like, Sparkle and Doha, who's gonna have to, like, find a health pack or go back to Jexi for heals, or like, go inside his LOS. So, right here, they set up on point, but, like, notice how, like, I don't really like this. Like, I don't really like that Gaga and Elsa, they're just stacked together. Like, you're concerned about, like, the dive, but, like, you're not gonna be that concerned until they actually get close to you. You still want to be playing, like, you know, your spam angles until, like, they actually present, like, a credible threat to you. So, like, I want, like, Gaga to be here. Maybe Elsa should be, like, right here. And this would allow, like, not only allow, like, Elsa to, like, you know, force, like, you know, Sparkle and Doha to take this longer flank, which buys time, or, like, you know, have them, okay, let me actually use the right color. This would not only force, like, Sparkle Doha to like use this flank, which buys time, or like force him to take this more riskier flank, which goes through to Sigma. But it also allows like Leave to be more aggressive because Leave can use like Sigma shields to like spam from here. Like for example, you can spam out Fearless while they're like trying to like stage, and like and you can also like control like this mega room to an extent from here. Like if Sparkle Doha try to like go into this mega room like right here, then like Elsa can like put some shots into like Sparkle Doha, which will force them to like take the health pack, take the mega, or go back and play more passively. Go back to Jexay for heals, or like at the very least, like even though like it's gonna be hard to poke out Sparkle and Doha, they are Tracer and Samba are really hard to poke out or like mark with like more stationary heroes. That's why like Tracer is like such a powerful hero. Like you can go for map control and then like it's really hard to like force you out. But at the very least you'll be knowing you'll have like here's another reason why map control is good. You have like vision of like where like fuel are going. Like you can from here you can see whether Sparkle and Doha are like setting up, like where are they setting up, like how are they setting up, and like you can relate that back to your team. And in a coordinated team environment, it's gonna be a lot better to like calm those stuff as compared to like ladder. But anyways, they are stacked together, which makes life a bit easier for fuel. But anyways, what do fuel want to do? So like in terms of map control, they obviously want to get on point, right? But like early to mid fight, like point's gonna be like probably the least important space to like really like occupy. Like you want to be able to like take the high ground, like not necessarily use the high ground, but make sure nobody's like trying to use it, because like if you're on point and like there's like a Leave on high ground, then like they're just gonna try like get picks as your backline moves up here, to like support your tanks. So like they're gonna look for picks. They're gonna like, if you don't clear the high ground like correctly, and you're gonna want to as well. You're gonna want to make sure that nobody's like you want to clear these angles, like in case anyone's using like these angles. And like ideally like you want to like use this high ground. Maybe like after taking the high ground you can use this high ground, and then you can put your backline somewhere safe, like here you can use this high ground, and then like you can use it as dive control space by like surrounding it, instead of like being on like point for as a brawl comp would want to do it. But you want to like use that high ground so that when they try like recontest, they have to like either clear the high ground first, which is hard with like a poke comp, because like which can be hard with a poke comp because like the dive comp can just say, hey, we have ultimates, we're just like gonna collapse on you before you can even clear the high ground, we're just gonna go for like a tempo play. Or like at the very least like you have like DM to like spend. You cannot have Hanbin like DM to spam, and then like they can't necessarily like just like walk onto the high ground, because like they're running like they have a Mei, but like they're not running the most brawly heroes. They can't just like rush high ground and try to clear it out. I'll give an example of like where that was a thing that Fuel didn't do, like when they were trying to like take the point later. But once like Fuel have taken like the area around the point, and like they're gonna like have an easier time taking the point. Like this important thing. So anyways, I just want to go over why map control was important and like the main themes of this point, but let's go to the analysis. So right here, notice that like even though like hunters are doing a bad job with controlling like this area of the map, like right here, like they're still like in long sight lines, and they're still really annoying. So they're still controlling like this area of the map, and like if Leave peeks here, if Leave tries to peek here, they can kind of control this area of the map. So like Fearless would like ideally want to like close the distance a bit and like try to like jump up here and try like just drop on their backline, save those mobility cooldowns and clear this high ground. But like by controlling this area of the map, like it makes it hard for Chengdu, I mean for like Fuel to like actually reach like this high ground. So what can Fuel try to do? So like Fuel can try like use their jump to like engage, and then like they have Sparkle and Doha behind, and then they'll at least have like kind of a pincer engage, and they can look to like force out cooldowns, rotate the backline to a better position, or just try to farm ultimates, which are going to be really powerful in this comp. Or like they can like look to like have Fearless like stage behind them like from a safe path. So like how this might work is like Fearless might jump up here, and then like he's still gonna have Ana LOS, and then he might look to like drop a bit and then jump up here and then eventually drop on the back line. This will avoid like going into like Hunter's sightlines here. The only problem is that this takes a long time, and time is something you don't really want to like give too much of to this comp. But like if they do it from a secure angle and like Elsa doesn't like pivot to here, then I think it might work. And like you're gonna have your Ana, and if they try to poke you out, then like if your Ana has LOS and you don't like take too much damage, and like you won't be taking too much damage because like look, they're just stacked together, like Chengdu, they're just stacked together. Like you're not gonna take too much damage, then like it's just gonna go into your Ana's like ult charge, and like Ana having like a nano is really powerful. It allows you to just like go in really aggressively, and like it allows your team to like it allows your backline to like move to like really aggressive positions, and go for nades, go for allow like Hanbin to like go from another angle, try to like pincer dive, and like allow Sparkle and Doha a lot of times like fish for like picks. So, but like in this case, look at what Fuel do. Fuel like they decide to like skip the staging part, and they just decide to like jump in. And like to be fair, like this is okay because they're running a spam comp. They don't really have a lot of CC to worry about. They're not running like a brawl comp that is really concerning at close range. Like if Hunters were running brawl, then Fuel would want to like consider like going for staging so that they can like soft engage and just like maintain possibility of escaping. But like in this case against a spam comp, they can like try to look just to like go in really aggressively without staging. But while like Fearless might not have to stage, who does have to stage? Sparkle and Doha. And the reason is because like you don't just want your Tracer, and like Tracer's a flanker obviously, but you don't want your Tracer like going from like too shallow of an angle, because like then like this team can just kite out your aggression, and boom, your engage is wasted. You just want to make it so that like if they try to like kite back, they're kiting back into your Tracer, who will threaten to pick or at least force out a cooldown. So but anyways, take a look at what Fuel are not trying to control, because like the area of the map that Fuel aren't controlling. Because, and here's the thing, okay, let me check. Because Sparkle and Doha are like dive heroes, but like they don't necessarily have to like shoot the same thing that like Fearless is shooting. That's like the simplest way to like follow up on a dive. But notice that like when you dive like Hunters is like and you're drawing a lot of attention towards like yourself, like when Fearless goes in. And like it makes it dangerous for the enemy to play split. And why? Because like because like the backline will be so focused on like trying to keep up the players who are being dove that like anyone who's playing split won't be able to get like relief from their supports. Like suddenly, like if Fearless like catches enough enemies in a dive, then M-Monk's gonna want to help the team survive. Nisha's gonna like abandon pocketing and try to like keep Elsa alive. So when Fearless goes in, it makes it really dangerous for like the enemy to play split, and at the same time, it makes it easier for your team to go for map control. It makes it easier for like Sparkle and Doha to like take the high ground because when the enemy team's like so focused on like trying to peel back your dive, it gives like you a short window in which you can just like go anywhere on the map basically for free. There's no consequence because like they're all focused on Fearless and not you. But like speaking of which, like why aren't they doing it? Why aren't they like controlling the high ground? Why are they just on low ground? And like because they don't clear this area of map control, it's gonna make it hard for Field to actually push onto point. Why? Because like if they push onto point, then like Leave, who isn't being accounted for, can just try to like go fish for picks or like poke out Fearless and Hanbin really easily. And like this is exactly what he does. Like see? Like imagine if there was Leave doesn't get a lot of support. Like look at what Nisha's like focused on. When that dive happens. Like when that dive comes in, like he's more focused on like keeping up the tanks and keeping up Jinmu, who is like getting pressure. But like first you can pressure Jinmu from the high ground perfectly fine. You don't need to be this close. You can just like go here and like try to like take these wrong color again. You can try to like take these shots. Take this angle. It's like Sombra doesn't have like that far of a drop off. You can still pressure Jinmu from here. But more importantly, like you just like while like this is happening, you just want to like make sure that like nobody's like gonna like just escape and like just use a high ground and try to like punish this dive. Like why isn't Sparkle and Doha like at least starting on high ground? Like you can try to like poke out Leave, force him to go back to his team, force him to use cooldowns, and then you can like go follow up on like Fearless's dive. But like because that isn't happening, because they aren't like taking the map control that they need to like push on the point, like this just like doesn't work. It allows Leave to like get a pick on Sparkle of all people, like the Tracer, and afterwards he can poke out Fearless from here really easily because he's not under any pressure. So Fearless engages, but like the rest of Field don't like use the opportunity to take control of like the areas surrounding the map. Like they're like look at where their backline is. Like their backline isn't even trying to like rotate to somewhere like better. Like imagine if you could set up the backline maybe in this angle. Like I'm not sure why the backline isn't like maybe here to start. But like by not like. But like the backline doesn't even like use that engage to like maybe push up a bit further. Push up like here, for example, and then you can try like pivot to here, fish for a nade from here, fish for a nade from here, and have Fearless maybe jump out like wrong color, and then you can have Fearless like jump out here and still get LOS. You can still get heals, or you can have Fearless jump out to here, and you can like maybe heal him from here, or like a lot of options. But like Field aren't even trying to set up their backline in a good position with that engage. They aren't rotating, and because they lose one, they have to reset. So like they not only like didn't take the high ground here, they didn't use the opportunity to like path to the high ground and then try to clear out anyone, try to force out Leave, and then punish him for being split, and then like and then you follow up on the dive. But they also failed to like put their backline in a good position. Or at least rotate their backline to a good position. And so right here, Hunters are doing the poke trying to poke from range again, get some initial poke before rotating back. And now they have Nano and Primal, two really powerful ultimates. But notice where Fearless jumps. Like, Fearless doesn't have to really worry about this poke anymore. Like, he has Nano and Primal, like, he can take a lot of damage and still survive. Like, he just has to, like, worry about, like, when he does use the jump, he should, like, land somewhere on, he should, like, try to, like, take control of this high ground, for example. He should try to, like, land on high ground so he can, like, you know, try to, like, circle here and try to drop on here, for example. And in any case, like, even, and, like, furthermore, like, he doesn't just want to go and he wants to make sure that, like, his Sombra is set up. But look, Doha is not set up correctly. Like, Doha should be, like, behind. Doha should be here, for example. Or at least on a deeper angle. But, like, notice how, like, Fearless, like, when he jumps, like, the Hanzo, like, leave is able to, like, survive because it's only a solo engage. There's not even an angle by Sparkle. Like, Sparkle should be, like, trying to, like, go right side. Like, Hunters, they're making a mistake. They're stacking their Orisa and Sigma together, and they're not going for map control, like, right here. Like, they're not controlling this angle, so, like, Sparkle could literally just, like, you know, maybe deflect here a bit, use deflect here, and then, like, you could go to poke from this angle, and then, like, you can synchronize it with Fearless, like, going in, have Hanbin DM some of the spam, so you can, like, pivot to here, and then, like, once you get those angles, you can like, look to clear the high ground and try to corral, like, Hunters, force them to, like, play together, and then, like, once that happens, your Nano engage is just gonna be so good. It's just gonna, like, get so much cleave damage, and your Primal's gonna, like, not only, like, get kills more easily when, like, there's nobody, like, shooting you, like, from all angles, but, like, your backline's gonna be able to contribute as well, like, without the fear that, like, Leaf's just gonna get a lucky shot from, like, this direction. So right here they Primal, but, like, in process, nobody's taking the high ground. Well, Fearless does eventually, like, try to clear the high ground, which is good. But there's nobody on high ground to really follow up. And, like, without follow-up, like, Leaf just, like, kites back. And Leaf is able to pop the ult and kill Sparkle. And Doha as well. Like, one of the reasons you want to, like, take map control and make sure the enemy is grouped up together is because, like, you can then, like, it means that you won't be leaving, like, enemies free to, like, just do this. Like, to just, like, spam from another angle, try to punish the dive. If you have, like, all six enemies clumped together, then, like, when you go in, like, what is the enemy gonna do? They're all so focused on, like, the Nano Monkey, for example, that there's nothing that they can do. And, like, the enemies who are hopefully, I mean, your teammates who are hopefully on flanks of their own can just follow up really easily without being punished, because who's outside of, like, the group who is being, like, pressured heavily to, like, punish that? No one. So, you want to corral the enemy together, try to take control of the map, but feel they just go in and, like, they don't take control of the map and they just lose. It's the thing that you have to do on attack. On attack, you can't walk into the enemy's, like, defensive setup. You have to, unless you have, like, 6 ultimates, literally. Like, you have to, like, clear angles, take control of the map before engaging. Okay, so, like, now they switched to Brawl. Oh, like, I'm not sure. I think the Winston would have still been good. Like, the Rhine just makes it easier for them to just kite back the EMP. And, like, they can't give ticks. Like, Feel have taken no ticks. Like, there's no... Like, the reason you might run a Brawl comp, you might switch to Brawl, is if you had 2 ticks and, like, walking on the point presents a significant threat because they have to drop on point. But in this case, like, they literally just give ticks and play for spam. So right here, let's take a look. are they looking to set up their Sombra behind? They want to synchronize. They want to like set up their Sombra behind and then try to synchronize their pressure. Okay, so so it looks like Hunters are now putting Elsa on high ground. They scouted out the switch to Brawl. And so they want to play like you know, longer distances. And they want to like play more like on the high ground so that like they can't just get rushed easily. But so that's why they're on high ground now instead of like, you know, with Orisa, which is bad, or like right here. But they popped the bongo a bit too early. I would prefer if they waited until they feel we're a bit more committed. I mean, they did. I mean, if they have to have the bongo, like, and like they want to like, you know, try to out tempo this EMP, try to like get things done before this EMP happens, why don't they just play aggressively? Like, you know, they switch, so like they don't have they won't have like any like key ultimates except maybe EMP. Well, you know they have EMP, but like they don't have any other ultimates to like try to punish you, like use to punish you specifically. Maybe except like Diva Bomb, but that's like still 12% into making. So like you're gonna look to like, if you're looking to bongo for tempo, you're gonna look to like play aggressively. You're gonna look to play angles. But like they aren't. They're just popping bongo and they're all like stacked together in this line. But so imagine if there was a Sigma here who can like, you know, get like a lot of damage from this bongo and maybe get a pick. Imagine if like Leave was like maybe on this angle with Sigma and can get a pick from here. But like they just use this bongo for tempo, but they're not set up for it. They're playing like as they're scared. So now Fuel do kite this back, but let's take a look at how they royally mess up this fight. So like they teleport, but the teleport doesn't. Where does it reach? It goes on high ground. They want to be clearing high ground. But first it gets destroyed, so good job on Leaf on destroying that TP. Like if they did TP to high ground, it would have been devastating. They would have like cleared this high ground and like there would be nothing left. So like great TP destruction by Leaf. Wait, what? It looks like they're just trying to stream forward. Like they're all just here for some reason, and then like they get fluxed, and they survive this. Oh no! Like like they got a baddie. Like it's not bad EMP. Like if like the TP landed, it would have killed too. But like their EMP gets no value, so like they should just like cut their losses and like try to like maybe, you know, rotate this way. And try to like clear the high ground first, or like wait, or like kite back, wait for TP, and then try to like do that same like TP strat again. But in this case, the Brawl comp gets May ulted, and they just push onto point. Like Dallas, they just push onto point into like Hunter's map control, and they just get picked. Anyways, let's take a look at this final engage.
Hello.
So right here they're trying to close the distance. This window makes a bit of space. I'm not sure though. Like, if I were Hunters, I'd probably save this window maybe to play for spam on high ground, or like to like, you know, window here so that if they try to clear the high ground, they can look to like spam this rotation out. Or like when they kite back, they can look to like window, and then like so that fuel will to slow down fuel, so to buy time. But in this case, they 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 get the bomb, they push on the point, but they're not clear. But like they're not clearing the high ground. They need to be clearing high ground. Like they like screw these players. Just like rotate high ground, clear the high ground, and then like your fielder's gonna have like a window, so you can set up you can set up your BAP on high ground with the window, even though it might be a bit risky with the Hanzo, but like you have a good position for the window at least, or you can just like say fuck it, like now that like you cleared the high ground, like you don't have to worry about this spam from here anymore, so you just look to like maybe you run at them, or like you just look to force the point, or you try to like teleport behind them and you can get them from there, like any strategy, but you need to clear the high ground, and they don't, and like as Dallas, they just ignore the high ground. Like they're not even trying to like poke out Elsa. And yeah, this is just gonna be a messy stagger fight, and yeah. So let's take a look at the defense. They're running like the same comp as they did at the beginning, except now on defense, like they want to like against this comp, which is Moira. What? It's like they switched to Kree Sombra, so they do switch like their comp a bit. So this comp is only different in that like hunters have Kree instead of a tracer. So and so how would the map control work in this case? They want to be like trying to like set up like leave maybe, like this is gonna be like this like Hunter's comp is gonna have like more poke, but Fuel's comp is gonna have more dive potential. So like Fuel want to be like engaging like pretty early, pretty fast. Like they might have Kree stun, but like if you're and they were playing double bubble, so they don't want like Elsa just to like get like a lot of energy early, but they want to be like going fast, going aggressive, trying to like punch this comp before like they can set up their angle, set up leave on an angle, set up give Elsa high energy. So they just want to play like a faster tempo, especially as they have no poke. So right here it looks like Fuel are giving them a lot of space to work with. And in the process, like, Sparkle gets caught out. Like, I would have preferred if Fuel could have looked like engage like a bit sooner, like maybe like it would be, well, like, the fact that like their supports are rotating here means that they're committed to like holding point, but like I think it would have been a good idea to actually maybe engage here because like look, they're all just together, they're all perfect for like a pincer dive. They're not taking map control, they only have, and like you don't want, and like if you can engage before Jinmu sets up his angle, would be really good. But in this case, they're committed to like holding point, and like by the time that it looks like they're trying to engage in this room, but like it's too late. Sparkle dies, and like it looks like Chengdu are trying to like set up their like backline in here. So Chengdu are like trying to like take the map control. They're trying to like set up like right here, and I think, and then like they're gonna stage, maybe put Gaga on this high ground, put like Jinmu on this angle, for example, or here. But this is like Dallas's last chance before like, and yeah, Fearless dies, and so they just there were, in this case, like it's a rare case where Dallas was like kind of caught out and unsynced with their aggression. Like Sparkle was a bit too close to the enemy, but more importantly, I would have wanted to see like a tempo engage from like Fuel, just because they're running like Tracer Sombra, which does want to go for like aggressive dives, like with Tracer and Sombra behind the enemy, which is easier on defense. Like the advantage of being on defense is just that you get to like take map control early, and you have to, and the enemy has to like contest your map control instead of like you having to take it. But in this case, like they just stabilize in this room, and they just look to push the point, because after clearing like maybe Fielder from high ground. Oh, it looks like they don't, but they do get picks, so like they can just kind of cheat and like kind of just push in. But anyways, the lesson here is like the map control is like a really important part of the game, but especially when you're like playing like dive comps or even poke comps that want to like take map control, so you can either try to like buy time, get poke angles, buy time, and like in general like when you're playing like for heavy spam, like you want angles so that you can like have maximum amount of opportunities to get picks. Or if you're playing a dive comp, who wants map control, so you can go in without being punished by like a rogue angle. You can have your backline move up without like the fear of being like outflanked, and also you can like kind of surround them from multiple angles, so it's really hard to kite or like peel back. But anyways, and also like on brawl comps, how you might not play for map control. Map control is your weakness, but you still want to play to deny like the enemy map control before like anchoring on point. But anyways, yeah, that's all I have to say for today, and hope that was helpful.